firmware update. That's always exciting. So one of the things that's happened to me as I've started into a new role is I've actually had to start doing beginner golf classes, and I've thought about it, and I've actually never really done those in the past. I've always done more competitive players, that's more my background, or people that have played before. So it was an interesting idea when they said, hey, we need you to do some of these beginner classes as we work to build up our staff and stuff, so we got to get started. And I had to start going through and thinking about, how did I start when I played golf? Well, I mean, I really started as somebody that just went out and started hitting the ball. I played baseball, I played football, I played soccer, I played basketball, I played all of these sports. I wrestled, and you know, when it came time to just get out there with a golf club, you know, I think I went out with a 3-iron, a Wilson Staff 3-iron, and I literally just got up there and swung away. And once in a while, I would make contact and it would go pretty good. And because I had all these things going on with other sports, I could hit the ball pretty good. It wasn't, you know, that foreign to me. But coming into these classes, we've got people that have never even been to a golf course before. They've never done, you know, some of these types of sports or any sports at all, but they really want to get into it, and I want to help them do that. And so it's been an interesting thought process as I've gone through trying to get that ready. So as I did that, I started thinking about, all right, what would it be, what would I want to do if I was to do this over again? My journey, I never really had instruction till later on. I think I've mentioned this before. I actually shot par before I ever took a lesson. And, you know, that wasn't in competition, that was just playing around. But it was something where I just kind of figured out the game. But I wish I had a little bit of help looking back on the way. It's just a matter of how much help and what would I want to work on as I was going through. And so I think the first thing that I would want to work on is just understanding impact as I go. I would forget about everything else in the swing. I used to work really hard on my backswing when I started actually trying to learn how to swing and stuff. I would just read things, hey, your backswing should do this, this, this. I would forget all of that. I would work solely on my ability to bring the club back about halfway, go through and brush the ground all the way through the shot. I don't think I'd need to do anything other than that and just hit shots that look something like that, making some contact. I don't think I need to do anything other than that, and getting a confident feeling for how to hit the ball and seeing what it takes to make really, really, really solid contact as I go through. I would work on that until no end. Now, the other thing I would do is I would work to understand the nuances of ball flight. You know, so this is something where radar technology has helped us with this, but I would be working on getting things like, hey, what happens if I want to hit the ball high? Okay, what does that do to my ball flight? For example, when you move the ball forward, it's a lot easier to hit high fades than it is to hit high draws. I would understand that and learn to use that out on the golf course. If I wanted to hit one lower and hook it, that's a little easier to do. Now I could work on the other shots, but what would happen if I put the ball back in my stance? What's that gonna do to my ball flight? What happens if I'm gonna get up here and I'm gonna try and hit a big fade, okay? How would I play that? I'd get out here and learn how to hit as many shots, and instead of trying to have a perfect swing, you know, master this, master this, master this. Once I've mastered the art of how to hit the ball, what are all the different ways I can swing, hit the ball well, there's a nice little draw, hit the ball well, and what is that doing to my ball flight? I wouldn't worry about being perfect. I'd worry about learning how to hit shots. So when I'm on the golf course and I'm faced with a tree in front of me, low draw, I know I'm gonna go back in the stance. swing a little bit more out, and we're really gonna try to work this low draw around and under that tree. And that one was pretty good. So I would start there, and I would worry about so much less as it goes to how I swing it, and more about how do I create shots. Now that might be a little bit more advanced than some of our beginning players need, but within that I would just start to understand that the swing is very much around us, and the more natural it feels, the better off you're gonna be. And that's gonna let you create shots and understand what's going on. Now, if we hit a ball that goes to the right, all right, how can we make those adjustments? How come we can't hit the ball in the middle of the face? How come when we swing straight back, straight through, that ball doesn't go straight? All of those things I would just start learning as I go through, all from this idea of a swing that is more around us, and it's not always gonna be the same, which if I was learning all those shapes, I'd start to learn that I don't really want it to be the same every single time, because I have different needs for pretty much every shot that I'm gonna hit. The last thing I would tell myself is don't be afraid of the challenge that you're gonna go through. It's going to be ups and downs. That is what makes us better players. I think as I was growing up, one of the things that I struggled with was I always wanted to have a good practice session. And so I would always kind of do what I was comfortable with. And so I never was pushing the boundaries of what I could do. And so I was never competing. I'd never say, all right, we're gonna do a challenge here, and I'd make it hard enough where I could possibly fail. I'd always make it fairly easy. Like, hey, hit an 8-iron and hit 5 in a row onto a very, very big green. Well, no, I wanna hit it and get it into a very small area, especially in practice. And the reason for that is, you got to get ready for the golf course. The golf course isn't going to give you what you want. It's going to give you whatever it gives you, and you need to be able to adapt to that. And if you're playing in any types of competitions or you're trying to break personal bests, you need to be ready. So I would be trying to get as much competition either between just myself and challenging myself in practice, or finding people to practice against. I would be doing that as much as I possibly could to make sure I'm ready to roll as we're going forward. So that's what I would tell myself if I was gonna go over and do this again. That felt pretty good. But I don't get to do it again. But you know what? Doesn't mean I can't start now and keep getting better. So we got some work to do.